Hello, dear pedagogy and second language students. How are you? This is our first educational or instructional video, so please do not forget to be fetch. Remember to have a focused, serious attitude, to be involved in the process, to take away distractions. Your cell phones, don't have them with you, and your headphones in. So, are you ready? Are you fetch? Okay, so let's get started. Our first video is about reflective teaching because this is the methodology that we are going to use in our course. So, what is reflective teaching? Think about your own definition and write it on the notes column in your Cornell note-taking format. This is a good moment to stop the video. So, reflective teaching means looking at what you do in the classroom, thinking about why you do it, and thinking about if it works. A process of self-observation and self-evaluation. So, the question goes back to you. Do you want to be a teacher? If you want to be a teacher, you are going to alter, to change students' lives. So, it's best for us to be thinking about what we do in the classroom all the time. Also, by collecting information about what goes on in our classroom and by analyzing and evaluating this information, we identify and explore our own practices and underlying beliefs. This might then lead to changes and improvements in our teaching. So, of course, when you guys graduate college, you're going to be 25, 20, 22, like very young. So you're going to be immature and you're going to believe certain things. You're going to believe, for example, that you have to be cool and you have to be nice and that students are going to like you only if you're like that. Or you might think the opposite. You might think that you have to be rigid and rigorous and completely a complete stranger to your students. Otherwise, they won't respect you. So evaluating and analyzing the information that you collect from your observations, it's what's going to help you shape your teaching and be the best teacher that you can be. So why is reflective teaching important? Please pause the video and answer this question in your Cornell note-taking format. So why is reflective teaching important? Well, when you are a teacher, you think you kind of got it all, right? You think you know what you're doing and you think you know how your students are learning. However, there are different gaps, there are different variables that we as teachers cannot always control. So, for example, there is the age variable. Yeah, what is interesting for me as an English teacher might not be interesting for my students. Like, for example, when I say a song or I talk about a TV show, as my students are so young, they don't even know what I'm talking about. So we have to reflect on how appropriate the things we bring to our students are. Also, what I think might work in my class might not at all. So if I make this amazing lesson plan and then I go to my classroom and teach it and it turns out to be horrible, then that's when I have to ask myself, what happened? What did I do wrong? What did I miss? What did I not consider? Right? So when we are reflective teachers, we have a magnifying glass into our classroom and we know that things are subjected to change. Have you ever had one of those teachers who has a notebook that has been used over and over and over again? Like, for example, I used to have a professor who had this same notebook. She has probably taught literature with that notebook to every teacher at Pedagogica graduating from 19 something something to 2000 something something. So that is not reflective teaching. That is a teacher who is in the comfort zone, who just wants to teach the same content over and over again, and who is not taking consideration of his students' needs, wants, and beliefs. Another important aspect of reflective teaching is that it drives research. Um, Research is really important for teachers nowadays, especially because our profession is devalued. More people value the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer, and all of them do research. All of them are curious about what's going on in their fields. All of them read, all of them study. But teachers, once you graduate and you go to your school, you work in the same place for years and years, and you don't do research, then you fossilize. So reflective teaching drives you to think about your classroom as a laboratory where amazing things happen and where you can change that reality. How do I start doing reflective teaching? Once again, pause the video and answer the question in your Cornell note-taking format. So how do you do it? Once you have made your determination to become a reflective teacher, you can start by using a teacher journal, yeah, a diary for that matter. You can have other colleagues observe your classes. So you constantly will see people observing our class because I am a reflective teacher. You can ask me for my journal because I have one. Recording lessons. You can video record your lessons, audio record your lessons. When you are hesitant of a topic that you're going to teach, for example, I don't know, when you're teaching English and you have to teach the difference between the past perfect and the present perfect, and you are completely hesitant on how to do it, you can record yourself and listen to the way you done it, and of course, analyze it, evaluate it, and make changes. Student feedback. This is the best way to reflect on your teaching, opening up the door for students to tell you how things are. Just have different moments in the course for students to express freely, anonymously, safely their opinion about what you are doing. Because anyway, they are the ones that are affected by the way you teach. So what does this all mean for our pedagogy and second language class? You are going to have a journal in core sites. We are going to work towards becoming reflective teachers. I know you guys are babies and are not teachers. You don't have students under you yet, but next semester you will start with your micro teaching basic, and you will be going to classrooms and you will be working on that. So even though it's not a requirement from the professor, I suggest that you have your teacher journal. Anyway, this semester we're going to practice in core sites. You need a really good memory because, as I mentioned before, you are not teachers. So you need to remember those teachers you had. You need to remember your English teachers. You need to remember at school and at the university. We're going to remember what you think other teachers did, and we're going to base our reflections on the experiences that you have had. A really good imagination. You need to go beyond. You need to think outside of the box. So if I tell you, as a future teacher, how would you have to think about it. You really have to sit down and think about it. Thinking about your beliefs, thinking about things that are important to you. How do you figure you're going to act in those situations? And your discussions in class. It is crucial, it is basic for you to discuss energically, enthusiastically in class when we come and we have these reflection prompts at home. Okay, so now you're ready for the article. You are going to read the article called Reflective Pedagogy. It's a chapter in a book. The book is The Cambridge Guide to Pedagogy and Practice in Second Language Teaching by Anne Burns and Jack C. Richards. The photocopies to the chapter are available in Copy Andes. Okay, so please you have to go get them. I'll tell you after class anyway to get them. Remember to read your text actively and bring in annotated and fill out your Cornell notes, note-taking format for it, as well as for this video. At the beginning of the course, I'm going to be pretty intense with the whole Cornell note-taking thing until you guys have developed the habit. I don't want any distractions. I don't want you to read superficially because this is really important for your profession. This is really important for you. So it's important that you actually nail the readings and understand the topics. So I am going to be a little intense at the beginning, just while you guys get the habit, then I'll trust you a little bit more. So good luck with the reading and see you in class.